Okay. I estimate nearly 94% of the people that innately clicked on this video are at the very least amused by the concept of breeding, the topic in question. Breeding. A time-old practice, exercise, ritual, pastime, and hobby. Not by me, but by society and animals. Though it is rather curious that society is construed by animals, yet I digress. You see, over the course of a day, I became incessantly infatuated with breeding and understanding the thought process, as well as the applicable motives and variables enabling this egregiously aged routine. To put simply, I got to thinking over a day, what causes the act of breeding, and what could come out of it? What is the appeal to breed, whether it be 3D or 2D, because make no mistake, breeding dates back to the darkest of the wrinkliest oldest day. And there's something else that is even more captivating that I might add, that transcends that of regular humdrum breeding between two humans, something that I could not explain after mere seconds of contemplation, as unlike vanilla-flavored breeding, there's this persistent desire to breed with monster women among some people, women that in theory are a whole separate species, or at the very least have. Fight this. There are many that want to breed, with the likes of ghost women, cow women, eldritch horror women, and even gooey slime women. Exorbitantly fascinating. So I, naturally being the most curious and, some argue, looniest researcher, engaged and researched into all possible breedable instances, notions, and insinuations. I ravaged deep into the breedable knowledge pathways, and I have the enticing, though unexpected answer. You see, breeding is a symbiotic relationship between two specimens. It should be noted that I am merely summarizing my analysis of breeding and how it could in some way entertain the act of breeding with more unconventional women, like with monster women, as well as my research into the act of breeding as a whole. Breeding, while being, some might argue, fun, extends far beyond the simple-minded and laughably trivial description of being fun. No. Breeding is an act of symbiosis, an act in which two creatures benefit from each other through a consenting coexistence. Both gain something from it, though to comprehend this we need to start at the most primal starting point, the attraction. Attraction does to some extent play a key part in this whole conundrum, and there is some bit of scientific merit to it, which is why I'm discussing it. There are certain switches and triggers that exist within humans and have for more than a millennia. These triggers subconsciously allow humans to evaluate the capabilities of the second symbiote in question, and in doing so, determine if they are an exceptional candidate for the breeding endeavor. Through sight alone, these distinctive visual factors are apparent relatively quickly, and are curiously unisex. You see, while intermingling in these juicy details, it unexpectedly revealed to me that both men and women are considered breedable by the plethora of actively lewd people. Quite enticing, I know. Even more so when we factor into this existential question. This would mean that whatever induces breeding is unisex, and is something both anime women and men can share. Those unifying components being things like thick thighs, white hips, and a functionally stellar gluteus maximus. These constituting factors, when displayed by men and women in some way, cause the brain of certain women and men to become empowered to pursue the instinctual and arbitrarily decadent lewd outcome. However, it's not that easy. As you might presume, not everyone wants to be bred, and thus should be left alone. However, just like there are those who don't, there are definitely those that do. And they have the last key to this archaic yet unifying compromise, the act of submissivism, which I very quickly found out is an important component in this symbiotic relationship, and with required consent. This act, known as breeding, is often between a subby-wubby or simply just a sub, and a dummy or simply just a dom. It's at this point I feel it the most appropriate to break down why these two coagulate in these acts, and it seems one cannot exist without the other. The submissivist yearns to be taken care of, to have a little word and enjoy the bumping, winding ride. The dom in this instant seeks power, stance, and to control and impose leadership. The submissive symbiote draws in the dom with pheromones and, as stated previously, assets, which curiously that's another point of contention between the two symbiotes, albeit unproven. While there is a relatively decent possibility that humans exude pheromones, it has not been proven. With all this, the submissivist gives the metaphorical key of consent, and then spicy hot steamy breeding is served, and both parties get desired results with varying performance levels. To put simply, breeding is a symbiotic dynamic exercise between two creatures that can be one and the same, or slightly different but with similar eccentric commodities to draw in the other, simply to use each other for distinct purposes that coincidentally coincide with each other in a very lusty and messy kind of way. And such is the astonishing beauty of symbiosis. With that, I have reached the end of my scientific jibber-jabber, but by all means means I would be ecstatic to know your thoughts on this absolutely depraved, yet ever the more enticing symbiosis. Even if it's to tell me what monster woman you would prefer to symbiote with. By all means, place it down in the comments, and I think it's safe to say, theoretically, if you have watched this far, then you do enjoy my videos, feel free to leave a like or subscribe to receive more scientific degenerate rambling, and share me with your neighbor, your high school teacher, your wife, or anybody who you wish to spread my undoubtable, yet at some might argue questionable knowledge to, and I'll back to answer another question I'm scientist can answer.